Hey there guys, and welcome back to Alex Invest. Today we're talking about a brand new stock called Nexe Innovations. I just picked it up the other week, and it was actually brought to my attention by an investor relations company looking for me to promote this stock. And I've gotten a lot of requests to do promotions, and I've turned them all down because I don't like the company. But this is one that I saw it, I did a bit of research, and I instantly invested because I do see them set for growth, and we've already seen that growth sort of come to fruition here. If we look at the chart here for a second, right, and we can see sort of where we've gone here. I basically bought this stock around this point right here in the 7th of December at the 1.8 level, right? And since then, we've just seen the price go up. So that's over a 200% increase there already. And I've talked about this one in a couple of my other videos briefly, just to mention that I have picked up shares in this one and that I do believe in this company. So again, I just wanted you guys to know that I'm not getting paid a lot of money for this. I do think it's a good investment, and I'll probably make a lot more money on the actual stock, buying the stock that I have on this promotion. So just keep that in mind, right? And anyway, so let's just get into what the company here does, right? And I've mentioned this in a few of my other videos, but it essentially makes fully compostable coffee pods, right, for coffee machines. And right now they work with Keurig coffee machines only, but they are currently working on R&D so that they work with the K-Cup and the Nespresso coffee machines as well. So they'll have the range of all three there. So now this company actually only recently got added to the TSXV. If we look back, right, on December 18th is when they started trading on the TSXV, and it was actually January 5th here, right here, where they started trading on the OTC markets. So, they really haven't been around for too long. The reason is because Nexe Innovations didn't IPO, but they basically got onto the stock market through what is called a capital pool company. And the best way to explain this is that it's similar to a SPAC. There's different rules surrounding CPCs versus SPACs, and they operate a little bit differently than SPACs, but in general, you can think of it just really like a SPAC. Which is special purpose acquisition company. You guys know that I've talked about them before, and I did want to mention to you guys that that's how Nexe Innovations became public, basically by Whatcom Capital Corp, which that was the CPC buying out all the issued and outstanding shares of Nexe Innovations so that they could go public. So we'll look at some interesting things in the investor presentation first, and we're going to start right here. And there's a few interesting things to note on this slide, right? And the first one is, we can see at the beginning, that's the global coffee market, right? So we don't really have to worry about the global coffee market as much as the coffee pod market, which is expected, as we can see from that last part there, to be $29.2 billion US by 2025, right? So that is good, and we're in a growing industry. But let's move back to the first point here for a second, right? And that's that global coffee market in general is growing around 6.2% compound annual growth rate from 2020 to 2026, right? But what's interesting about that, right, and I was doing some research on this, is that the global coffee pods and capsules market is actually projected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 7.72%. And that growth is from 2016 to 2025, right? So we're actually seeing a higher compound annual growth rate for coffee pods than we are seeing in the global coffee market in general. And this actually makes sense because coffee pods are a newer sort of market in this industry. And because of that, we're seeing more growth here as well. And not only that, but more and more people are getting these coffee pod machines in their houses because it's just so easy and so efficient, right? And so that's really what's important to show here. And here, this is the next slide. So this is actually where they mention their compound annual growth rate, which is just a compounded growth rate per year. And it is at 8.5% for the coffee pod industry. So we see there the numbers higher than what I found with my research. So, you can sort of maybe take an average of those two and decide for yourself what you believe. But it's also 50% of all coffee consumed is through coffee pods here already, right? And do I see this number getting bigger? Maybe, but there are still those classic coffee consumers who like to have an actual espresso machine, or they have a coffee machine that produces regular filter coffee, right? But it could grow a little bit sort of as this technology advances here as well. Like, for example, the Nexe pod, when we see sort of innovation like this, there are definitely new adopters of this technology and using this technology because they realize, it's good for the environment or better for the environment now than sort of the original coffee pods. And I think that's actually going to be a big driver for this industry moving forward here. And this right here has to be my favorite slide of it all because it really just shows how trusted of a company they are here, right? I mean, we can see their government and academic partnerships, right? They're partnered with the, first of all, Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada. That's the NSERC CRSNG there, right? They work with UBC, that's University of British Columbia. They work with the Canada National Research Council as well here. And the government of Canada, they're all under the government of Canada, of course, here, but it just shows sort of the different subsidiaries that they work with the government of Canada, right? And the city of Surrey there, that one obviously isn't as big as the other ones, but they put it in there anyways. And awards, right? The government of Canada has given them award. The Wall Institute for Advanced Studies has given them award. The Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada has given them award. Innovate BC has given them an award, And so we just can see how much support they're getting here, first of all, and how many great partnerships they're working with. And because of that, I really do believe in this company, and I do see it set for growth, because if they weren't set for growth and they didn't have a good product, they would not have these collaborations and partnerships that they do. And there's a couple other slides there, but you guys can look them up on their website. You can see the investor presentation there. But the point of this last slide really brings us into our next point about news, because they just received a $1 million award for their Nespresso compatible NEXE-Pod here, right? And that's sort of their next step here. And when they have that, they'll have the Keurig pod, they'll have the K-Cup pod, and they will also have the Nespresso pod. And that's basically the big three in this coffee pod industry, right? So the government of Canada is really entrusting Nexe Innovations here to sort of help against this plastic crisis, you could almost call it. And I think that's also part of the reason why sort of we see this run up here. It was only announced on January 14th, which was basically right here, right? And we can see the sort of run that we've seen since then. And part of it is definitely on this news. So now the other piece of news I have for you guys, and this came out just 2 days earlier on January 12th, is that Nexe is launching their own in-house brand called Zoma Superfoods. They say here Nexe plans to add more products available for purchase online and through subscription via a new direct-to-consumer e-commerce platform. Now, this is actually really cool because, we see Very Good Food Company doing this as well. And you guys know I'm very bullish on Very Good Food Company. And I've been in the stock since that, 0.7 level. And, they're trading at $8 right now. And we could see maybe something similar here to a lesser degree, right? Because people are still going to want their normal pods. I think, there's a lot of people who aren't going to be switching over to Zoma Superfoods for their coffee, but maybe, who knows, if it's really good coffee, that could happen, right? But, I like the subscription aspect to it again. We are seeing some other bigger coffee pod companies doing this, where they offer basically a monthly subscription where you'll get coffee pods in the mail every month, right? And they'll have their own e-commerce platform. Now, at first, this worried me a bit because I was like, okay, they're starting their own coffee brand, but why don't they just sell the pod, right? Just the actual pod and the technology there to Nespresso, to Keurig, to K-Cup, right? And it turns out they're doing both, or they want to do both. I actually messaged the CEO of the company here, and they told me that, yes, they're starting their own coffee brand here for coffee pods and eventually other products, I guess. But it's not all they do. They are also looking at partnering with, the Nespressos of the world to basically sell just their pods, or produce their pods and then sell those to, the bigger companies. And that's really where I see a big catalyst here. I think a lot of these big companies are going to want actually these pods because it's so good for advertising, right? They can advertise 100% compostability. They can advertise great for the environment, environmentally friendly, and they already do this, but they can do it even more to an even bigger degree here with sort of this next pod. So I think that if they partner with, one of those big guys, then they're going to instantly become a huge company here, and they're still going to have their e-commerce platform moving forward. And they're launching their Zoma Superfoods brand actually in late January 2021. So this is coming soon. And we're going to see an e-commerce website here up within the next month. And again, that is a catalyst for this stock. And they're going to start generating revenues from that. And as they do, again, we're going to see this price grow here. So let's get into some of the risks here. First of all, there's no financial statements, obviously, because before Nexe Innovations was a privately held company, right? And you can't see financials of a privately held company. And since they've just gone on the TSXV now on December 18th, we won't see a financial statement for a few months. And that's okay. But it's important to realize that Nexe Innovations right now really has close to zero revenues, if not zero revenues, and that's my best guess because, you know, they were still doing heavy R&D up until recently when they had their Keurig Nexe coffee pod ready, right? And, you know, it'll be interesting to see their shop come online here, their e-commerce store come online in sort of late January here, hopefully. And so we can see not only the products that they offer, but how well their e-commerce website's set up here and sort of get an idea at least of somewhat their current sales, although we really won't know until we see that first financial statement. So that's obviously a big risk there. The other one is, again, part of this as well. They really, you know, right now don't have any products that they're selling at all. And again, this is going to come in later January and again, leading to a catalyst. But, you know, we don't know if the price and the market cap is justified by sort of their revenues or anything here. And, you know, obviously they're going to have negative EPS and that's totally okay. They're just starting here. But, you know, it is important to keep in mind that this company, you know, they still haven't gone to the stage of commercialization yet. They're getting there. They are getting there and they will be there very, very soon. And that creates a catalyst, but it also creates a risk if, you know, we don't see many revenues or anything like that. And of course, I don't see that. And you guys know I like to get into these stocks as early as I can. And that's because if you can judge sort of where you think a stock is going to go, and you're right, it's much better to get in early when it might be a little bit higher risk, yes. But then again, obviously, as we all know from the stock market, the higher amount of risk you take on, the higher reward you're going to get from the money that you've put in. Your return on investment is going to be higher every single time. For this one, we can really just mitigate our risk as much as we can. And, you know, again, we go back to those partnerships we're seeing. With those partnerships and the things that they have going for them right now, it really isn't that risky of a company. And sure, they're small cap, negative EPS. We don't know about products yet or growth, but we will soon for all of these things. And that's why getting in now is better than getting in a month from now when they have their e-commerce website up and are likely making decent revenues already. And if, again, they partner with one of these big companies, coffee pod companies like Keurig, anything, we're going to see huge growth here. And we all know we're seeing big growth in these plant-based product sector and in this environmentally friendly sector, right? And these are the stocks that are absolutely exploding right now. We can look at clean energy. We can look at plant-based meat stocks. You guys know I'm huge on Very Good Food Company. I have another one similar to this in my portfolio, which I've talked about before, and that's Good Natured Products, right? And they make plastic foil and other things like this. You know, that's where the world is headed, and that's where we're going to see growth in these industries, right? And that's why I see this company set for growth as well. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for the video today. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and share the video as always. And other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.